Do, 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 do.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Well, we're going to be talking about Minneapolis this morning. We got to cover the riots. We got to cover the shooting. We got to cover the madness. We got to cover the sedition. Tim Walz is in open sedition, calling for additional violence and threatening to deploy the National Guard to attack ICE agents. It really is some proper madness. And there's something going on here that I want you guys to pay close attention to, that I'm going to try to explain as clearly as I can. But make no mistake, what you saw happen yesterday in Minneapolis is not the case that this woman died and then all of a sudden rioters like spontaneously formed and began rioting and making noise. I've got Mario with us this morning as well.
Good morning.
Morning, sunshine. So
I've told you for years that the show needs to start 1 hour after Mario wakes up, whenever that is. Okay? If you do that, we'll never have this problem. We'll never have an audience, but whatever.
It's an audience when we've got coffee. So Mario, here's what I think is going on. You saw it with the Floyd riots. You saw it with, all over the summer of 2020. I have a list here actually. I've got several lists this morning because shit's crazy. But basically there's a law enforcement action. There's immediate framing. And like with this thing yesterday, it was almost instantaneous. Like the officer was still falling down on the ground when Walz's press conference came out, right? Basically what's going on is the lefties decide we want riots in this location, and we're going to watch the headlines for the thing that we can sensationalize.
Correct.
and warp and lie about. Right?
They've been waiting for this moment. Okay.
Correct.
When some idiot, okay, look, I hate saying this, okay? It's cliche at this point, and honestly, it's boomer coded, okay? But FAFO, right? That's what this is. What is this woman doing? On her social media, it says that she's a wife and a mother from Colorado. Okay. She's obviously a lefty, the LGBT flag in the bio, of course. Right.
Right.
So she's a lefty, but you're a wife and mother. You're from Colorado. You're in Minneapolis for whatever reason. And you're driving your vehicle and trying to interrupt an ICE operation, parking like diagonally in the road to inhibit their ability to drive, to basically complete their operation and just move their vehicles, right?
And I'm glad you brought I'm glad you brought that up. That she is from Colorado. She is not. She's not a local, right? Yeah. That's something that we've seen repeatedly with these incidents. Is people are going to places where the lefties want there to be riots. They're flocking from all over the country. Right. We've talked about this many times before. The rate of incidence of mental illness on the left is 10 times the rate on the right. Right. Mental illness is actually one of the most reliable predictors for liberalism. Right. You've heard the old saw. You've heard people say liberalism is a mental disorder. That's not entirely correct and not entirely incorrect. What is correct is that leftism relies on low IQ, low engagement, and low intellectual stability, coupled with outrageous emotion. It relies on the key indicators of a person's mind to be more vulnerable to emotional outrage. So what's literally happening here, this is what happened with Floyd, this is what happened in Atlanta, this is what happened all over the country in 2020, is as soon as there's an incident, the lefties come out and lie their asses off about it to frame it in the most negative way possible.
Yep.
And excite riots. You don't forget the story around the Kenosha kid, right? The Kenosha hat trick happened when Rittenhouse was there during riots following the shooting of what was his name, Jacob Blake,
Yeah.
who, by the way, survived. And the narrative was that a bunch of police officers just shot this guy in the back for no reason at all. And then the riot started, and then we got the rest of the information. Oh, it turns out he had just raped his baby mama and was in the process of kidnapping her several children when he pulled a knife out of his car and attempted to murder those police officers.
Yeah, it was it was ludicrous. The whole scenario was ludicrous. Okay. I think a TPS report, Alex says is correct when he says that Minnesota politicians love this because now they get to talk
Correct.
about something besides fraud. Oh, absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
This is manna from heaven to the left. Okay, or at least they think it is. Right. You have and before and yeah, I agree with everything you said, Chris. And also to add you mentioned sometimes about the susceptibility to mob mentality, right? Whereas
Yes.
the more conservative you are, the higher your resistance is to it, and the further to the left you are, the less resistance you have. Okay. Um, Case in point, why a wife and mother from Colorado is in Minneapolis to attempt to fight Orange Man and interfere with his Gestapo thugs, okay, in Minneapolis. In her mind, it's real. In her mind, we live in a fascist state. Donald Trump is a dictator, okay, and she is part of the resistance fighting for the lives of black and brown people who are always legal because no one is illegal, and removing them from the country is the second Holocaust. Okay.
You know,
In her mind, this is all real. You understand? These people they're not living, within the real world. They're not living in a state of reason. Okay.
two things there. Back when I went back to college as an old man, I was sitting in a classroom. I needed a freaking an elective to fill out some space, and my options were the 37 flavors of grievance studies or pedagogy 101, which turned out to just be all 37 flavors of grievance studies crammed into one class. And of course, in the middle of that, right, this was during Trump's first term, or no, it was while Trump was running for office for his first term. And we got this lecture out of this idiot teacher about how a person can't be illegal. A person can't be illegal. And I said, you're right. You're absolutely right. 100%. You're right. A person cannot be illegal because illegal, that's a very specific term of art, and it refers to actions which are prohibited by law. So you're correct. A person cannot be illegal. Actions are illegal. A person who has taken illegal actions is what we call a criminal, and we prosecute those. Right. So,
Yep.
and that's why many times on the show I've said I dislike the term illegal immigrant. They're not illegal immigrants. They're hostile foreign invaders. They are guilty of war crimes. They are the rogue agents of hostile foreign nations conducting invasion operations against a sovereign nation. Yep. And crossing its border in clear violation of international and national law. Mm-hmm. Right? The law says they should be shot on sight, not deported.
Yep. We've got a troll here in the chat.
Yeah, I know. He was here yesterday. He's adorable.
A greater Miak here. I'm not going to. I'll respond to you one time. Okay. Says that we are a nation of immigrants. Okay, so you speak in catchphrases and paeans, okay, but if you must know, we are a nation of pioneers and settlers, and then later immigrants. Okay, specifically immigrants that came from culturally compatible regions of Europe. All right.
Yeah, I addressed this yesterday. The same shithead spat the same bumper sticker bullshit. So we don't need to over engage with that one.
There is no magic dirt, greater Miyako Wako. Okay. just giving birth in this country doesn't make you a U.S. citizen. It doesn't make you an American. All right. We are not a prospect nation. Okay. We are a
Correct.
people. There are heritage Americans. This is our land. Okay. And if you can't accept that, then you're just you're stupid. Okay. You're just stupid. And there's nothing that anyone can do to help you.
Okay, so
All right.
let me get back to the other thing related to what you were just saying a minute ago, about how these psychopaths, like this woman that got herself shot yesterday, they
Yep.
do believe that it's real. They do believe that, oh, this is the Gestapo, this is the 37th Reich, et cetera, et cetera. They're psychopaths. Let's be very clear about this. I had ChatGPT pull me up a list of several cases. Bad Elk versus United States in 1900. Alton Oliver acquitted after killing an off-duty cop in 2025 in Atlanta. Jaleel Stallings, acquittal for shooting at police in 2021. That was in Minnesota. There are cases. There was even one that we've talked about on the show before. I don't remember the woman's name, but there was one where this woman walked into a police station and in front of officers, civilian witnesses, other people who had been arrested, and like a dozen cameras, just walked in with a butcher knife and stabbed a police officer to death in the precinct. She was obviously arrested immediately, tried, and in her trial, she produced evidence that that particular police officer had been abusing her personally, and it was, it was a pretty clear case where it was obviously murder. Right. It was not self-defense by any stretch of the imagination, but based on the pattern of abuse that she presented to the court in that case, the jury acquitted her and said, no, she deserved to take this man's life and he needed to die. We're going to treat it like self-defense, even though it was like she just straight ran in and murdered him.
Yeah.
The evidence around the case changed the jury's mind on that. And so my point here is, there are cases. It is possible, and the law does make room for this, where you can use as a civilian deadly force to defend yourself from a police officer who is acting corruptly, illegally, and endangering your life, fear of life and limb.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Those cases exist, but what we're looking at right now is people like Tim Walz and the whole rogues gallery of elected Democrats are going out of their way to convince their voting bases and the sociopaths and their blue cancer enclaves that literally seeing a police officer is the same as having your life put into danger. It's all this, like, just like with the nonsense with what's his name, Mark Kelly, saying, oh, well, you don't have to follow illegal orders. Name them, Mark. What illegal orders has Trump given? You sociopath. You're not giving advice. You're conducting sedition. And so they're basically trying to convince these people that every time you see a police officer, you are in mortal jeopardy and therefore morally justified to take violent action. Every police officer is Charlie Kirk now.
Well, you can't. You can't be a leftist if you're not a victim. Okay, you require persecution. Okay, and
Correct.
in the absence of persecution, you must create that persecution in your mind. All right, and the thing is, I'm not even a pro cop guy. I'm not a fan of the police. All right, you're never gonna catch a thin blue. You're never gonna find a thin blue line T-shirt in my closet or sticker on my car. Okay, but once again, the left forces me to support the police in certain situations. Okay, so that's what it is. So this woman, yeah, I said before we even knew who the victim was of this who the person was who got shot.
It was an easy call. You can see the bumper sticker. She was going to be a gay awful.
I said this in the infamous thread. All right. I said, okay, I guarantee with at least 95% accuracy, this is going to be a middle-aged liberal white female. Okay. It's a middle-aged liberal white female on basically with some form of LGBT association. Okay. Kicker. And she will be on some sort of SSRIs or other psychoactive medication that was prescribed by an immigrant doctor on a visa for a state-run what do you call them, HMO. Okay,
Yeah.
So we'll see how much more exculpatory information we can get.
Hey, Mario,
something funny happened in the chat.
This is the winning comment for today. Oof. 12 cats are waking up ownerless this morning. Pray for the cats.
It's tough. It's tough.
That's solid. You know what? That comment is so good. That comment is so good.
Yeah, you got to first
celebrate it by giving away a free 1 month premium subscription.
Throw some chum in the chat.
Throw some chum in the chat. And yeah, so Desert Rat got it. So hey, Russian, you need to get over to Rumble and sign in. If I see Russian Old Spice come up with the little green triangle next to you, I'll give away another free membership this morning. And while we've still got the troll in the chat here, before we get further into the conversation, Mario, do you have time to run Martyrs and Monsters and then get back to the conversation and switch over to Tim Walz coverage?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So,
but hey, I don't anticipate riots coming out of this, and I'll explain why. But go ahead and play your.
Well, there's already been some rioting.
It's not going to be 2020. It's not going to be George Floyd.
No, it's not going to be like that. That's fair. It's not going to be like that. Okay, here you go.
They light the torches, chant the names, build their altars out of flames. Every sinner's crown of thorns, sold in their culture wars. They preach compassion, sell the rage, turn their prisons into stage. Their saints wear mugshots, their prophets steal. They burn the truth and call it real. Born of lies and pride, they cry for mercy while the innocent die. Oh, their martyrs are monsters built from their sins. Keep the cameras rolling, call that justice again. They sell their stories, never pay the price. Oh, their martyrs are monsters, born from fire and lies, and they worship everyone till the last truth dies. Build their temples on broken backs, preach forgiveness while lighting a match. They want a savior, look inside. All their martyrs were monsters before the day they died.
Oh yeah, baby. Yep.
And just to clarify, I don't think this hapless woman who got shot is a monster. Okay, I think she's just an unfortunate NPC. Her mind was filled with ideas that led her to her own self destruction. Okay, there is a wife and mother of sound mental state should not be crossing state lines to participate in a protest movement against a lawful police action. Okay, that is not the normal mentality of a wife and mother. A wife and mother should be with her family. Okay, providing maternal support to her family. All right, not in Minneapolis in January trying to take part in counter government insurrection actions. All right,
Right.
it's ridiculous.
Well, and let's take a look at the video. Right here. This is the video that went wide originally, and they're trying to the Walz and them are all trying to paint it like this guy right here, this cop right here, is the shooter, and he was never in danger. And you can see if you pay close attention. Boom. So this guy almost covers the actual officer in question. And so they showed everybody this image, this video, and said, look, he was never in danger. The officer was never in danger. Oh, wait, what's this other pair of feet here?
Yeah,
okay.
But you could argue. I mean, look, you could argue that he could have like just done a quick sidestep to get out of the way. Okay, she may have been. Looks like she was trying to like get out of there, but her wheel was Her wheel was tilted all the way. Wheels tilted all the way to the left. So obviously she's going to go forward as she's trying to turn away. But regardless,
well, here's the other angle.
What were you doing?
You can clearly see she hits the gas. And she hits it. Now, something else that's important to note: when you see the car strike him, he's sliding backwards, and if you listen carefully, you can hear the tires squeal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so she was gunning it.
Yeah. So the idea that she wasn't trying to hurt this officer is completely out. That what happened here is she slammed that foot down on the gas as hard as she could. And the only reason that officer is still alive is because it was on an icy road. Her tires spun out instead of just plowing him over.
And let me do the devil's advocate.
Ice causing her tires to fail to grab traction, and causing the officer to lose traction on his own feet, sliding backwards. Right, he would be dead. It's that simple. Cade says, except that she used a deadly weapon and then tried to flee. Yeah, I won't tell the whole story again, but I've talked about this many, many times before. When I was training Marines to do combat convoy operations, I would ask, hey, or I was Army. They gave me a bunch of Marines who were basically desk monkeys and said, get them ready to go to Afghanistan. We're doing combat convoy operations. Hey, you, driver, Lance Corporal, what is your primary weapon system? Oh, it's the M4A2. No, shut up. It's not your rifle. You are the driver. You stay at 10 and 2. Your primary weapon system is that 40-ton fucking truck. You run people over. That is your job. Right? The vehicle is a deadly weapon. Back in 2020, when the narrative was, oh, well, police officers are just out like they've got a free game license to hunt unarmed black men. And we saw I think it was Avi that went out and did the man on the street where he went and asked a bunch of black people, hey, do you know how many black people are killed by how many unarmed black men are killed by police officers every year? And you got answers from a couple of hundred to like, there was one guy that said, oh, it's like 150,000. Like, no, son. It was 9 that year. It was 9.
Yeah.
9 unarmed black men. And we went through it. And 4 of them were shot while driving a vehicle attempting to ram police officers.
Yeah.
Right? It's that simple.
But to play devil's advocate for a moment here.
Wait. The troll said something because he thinks he's smart. Last I checked, the streets of Minnesota is not a combat zone. Check. Gotcha. Okay, cool. So that means that if I'm not in a combat zone actively, my firearm isn't a weapon, right? That's your argument. That the vehicle isn't a weapon because it's not in a combat zone? Shut the fuck up, you clown.
He needs the government to tell him what he needs the government to tell him expressly what to do. Okay. Anyway.
And Danny points out the number one cause of injury to cops is vehicles. Yes.
I have no doubt. Theirs or the suspects. So to be devil's advocate for a moment, all right, you could say that he could have sidestepped quickly and got out of the way of the car. Okay. But you do have to understand the mentality of the cops. Okay. A lot of police officers are people who want to kill someone. They want to pull that trigger on someone. All right. They join the police. If they don't come from if they don't being a cop for a lot of them is a family business. It's the family tradition. Okay. It's the family's business, kind of like us being military, right? It's just what we do. Right. But for some cops,
on every battlefield in U.S. history.
Yes.
It's what we do. Correct.
And for some police, it really is like basically borderline kind of sociopath. And they're screened. They're specifically screened so that they're not IQ above 110. Okay. They don't want they don't want super smart cops. Okay. Because super smart cops think and show more empathy. Okay. They kind of want thugs when they hire the police force. Okay. And I could be totally out of line. Let me know in the chat. Okay. But when you are around the police, okay, and you feel that you are going to have an emotional state, you are in terrible danger. Okay, you need to follow one basic principle, which is keep your hands on the steering wheel and don't fucking move. All right, and just let it happen. Okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and there's nothing you can do to stop it without making the situation worse and potentially getting yourself killed. Right. And this woman on whatever combination of antipsychotic medication she was on, and I effing guarantee she was, okay, made the emotional and erratic choice, and it cost her her life. It's sad.
A couple things here. We know that she was there, right? We know that she was there trolling ICE agents and intentionally going out of her way to obstruct the activities of the ICE agents. That's something that's been documented now. So this wasn't just like some random woman. She was actively engaged in impeding law enforcement operations.
I have no doubt.
She was conducting crime when this happened. That's why they approached her to begin with. Now, to Mario's point about the cops being thugs, I've said this on the show several times. You know, my general opinion of police officers is I put my hand up and swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, deployed, closed with, engaged, destroyed the enemies of the United States of America in close combat. I enjoyed the hell out of what I did. I went to where the enemy was. I hunted him down, and I eliminated him. A police officer that raises his hand and swears a similar oath has chosen to stay home and harass Americans who are generally law-abiding and basically operate as a revenue collector for the state. We are not the same. Now, that said, I also pointed out earlier that there are absolutely cases where there is a legal exception. There is a lawful circumstance under which you can use deadly force against a police officer in self-defense when that police officer is acting dramatically outside the norms and the law. Those cases do exist. Now, like I said, the lefties are trying to make their people believe that every encounter with a police officer falls under that category, and that is not the case. Like Mario pointed out, when you are in an encounter with a police officer, even the most reasonable police officer is an armed man whose job does include a significant amount of mortal peril, and that is a thing that he must be aware of, and it affects his security posture, and that's something that you as a citizen need to be aware of. In the vast majority, the 99.999% of cases, even if the cop is wrong as two boys fucking, the fact of the matter is you are best served by fighting that in court. In fact, the choice you should really think that you're looking at, if you start dealing with a cop that's a bad cop, right? I've advocated many times on this channel, if you don't already have one, put a freaking dash cam in your car, right? And if you find yourself dealing with a cop who is absolutely out of line, you take that evidence with you to court, because your choice is between, do I act a fool and get myself killed here, or do I go collect my bag?
Man, you're chatty as hell this morning, aren't you, Chris? I could have
Yeah,
slipped in. I could have slipped in. You got this. Walz, Aaron Olson says, was she on birth control too? That might enhance a sense of fear. Actually, it's the opposite. Okay, women on birth control, their normal like a fight or flight parasympathetic system is in fact altered to where they think they are not in danger when they actually are. Okay, it's
Correct.
weird. It's weird, but it's real. All right, birth control. That's a rabbit hole that we could go down.
That's a deep dive we're going to have to do.
One of the most destructive inventions of all time, if not the most destructive invention of all time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, about the riots here, I don't think there's going to be riots. One, because it is January in Minneapolis, and the normal melanated shock troops probably aren't going to be up for that. Okay. So you're going to get basically white liberal / Antifa types. They're already planning for a memorial service this evening at 5 p.m. in Minneapolis, which by most accounts, if the left has its way, will descend into a riot. Okay.
Right.
I'm not sure what the property damage. I'm not sure if there's going to be a lot of property damage though, because of the lack of melanated forces on the ground. Okay.
I can tell you what there will not be, Mario. I can tell you what there will not be. If the left decides to have a memorial service of candlelit vigil or whatever for this woman, you won't have right-wing agitators attacking and interrupting that to scream that she deserved it and all this stuff, like you did with Charlie Kirk. People showing up to his memorial services and just shoving their way through the crowd to urinate on his photograph. Just insane. Aaron Olson asks a question. You're getting ahead of me, son.
We're getting there. I know Cade and Aaron are itching for us to talk about Insurrection Timmy.
So here's the short clip.
Deployment is there to protect Minnesotans from whatever it is. If it's an act of nature, if it's a global pandemic, or in this case, if it is a rogue federal agent. I don't know at this time. Deployment is there to protect.
He's literally threatening to deploy his National Guard to conduct operations against federal law enforcement.
Yes, great. Yes, Miyako Wako. Yes, I'm racist. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's normal. I'm normal. I have in-group preference. Okay.
Yes.
A normal characteristic.
We're what you should learn to call oikophiles.
Yes.
Storefronts and businesses of Minnesota just 6 years ago, less than 6 years ago, how those homeowners in that area.
We're only blocks away from where the George Floyd situation happened. If you still go there nowadays, the buildings are still charred.
Correct.
It still looks like total destruction, just like it did back then.
And I bring this one up importantly because we want to.
It's what Pit Daddy said. Okay, the riots may be ineffective because they have not repaired the damage from 2020.
Correct. We're going to burn this city down. We already did that. You need to find a new city or rebuild this one first. But let's point out importantly also with the George Floyd situation, very much like this one. Right, I showed you the video that they started circulating immediately that kind of obstructed the actual strike on the agent that pulled the trigger. And then we have another video that shows clearly, oh no, she straight up hit him with her car. Well, if you'll remember in the George Floyd situation, all we had was the video of the officer kneeling on his neck for months. And then after the trial began, we got the rest of the body cam footage from the scene that had been retained and suppressed. And frankly, everybody involved in that case should have been incarcerated for spoliation. They should have been arrested and prosecuted and tried for evidence tampering and evidence suppression, because what we later found out, what we later learned from that body cam is that before Chauvin even arrived at the scene, Floyd had basically shoved his way through the vehicle, was demanding to be taken out, put on the ground, kicked the door open, kicked one of the officers struggling to get out of the vehicle, insisted on being placed on the ground, screaming, "I can't breathe," in the back of the car. It's too stuffy, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I mean, that footage by itself was entirely exculpatory and was intentionally repressed by the state in order to paint the narrative. Because
George Floyd was in a state of in pure react mode, okay, with light speed time preference, okay, so zero thought for what would come next, okay, much like a 5-year-old.
And just like in this case,
a 220 pound 5-year-old is what George Floyd was, okay.
220. That's awful. That's awful generous.
I don't know how much he weighed.
He was a big old boy.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
But
you don't get a lot of gains on Fent. You know what I mean? I think he was lighter than you think.
It's the hollow bones.
Yeah.
But yeah, and just like with this one, what happened there is you had activists basically sitting there, with their eyes stapled open, glued to a dozen monitors, watching headlines, looking for the one that could spark the outrage.
Correct. No one is here. Pardon me.
What happened there was not. It was not the case that a bunch of people were suddenly outraged by that situation and decided to demonstrate and riot. No, they had rioters and demonstrators standing by, waiting for it to happen through the same mechanisms of fifth and sixth generational amorphous warfare communication structures that we've discussed in the past, like with the lowest learner activity. Obama didn't say, "I want you to go and put these conservatives on the bottom of the stack." He said, "Would somebody rid me of this troublesome priest?" And they just sit there and they scan the headlines looking for, okay, we found it. This is the thing that's gonna get them to set the fires.
Of course. Like there are scarcely few federal agencies that are under more civilian watch than the ICE or Border Patrol operating in Minneapolis right now. Okay, you are correct. So for months they've been waiting for kind of that lightning rod moment, okay, where they could try to mobilize some type of popular resistance or popular rioting. Okay, so months and months of constant surveillance of them, and they finally got the one. They finally got their martyr they've been looking for. Okay, so please understand, the left is always looking to profit off of someone else's death. All right. Always. Okay. It's their currency. The currency is victimhood. Now, I think Sergeant Major makes a good point here. Sergeant Major says that we must remember that Walz is a coward who deserted his unit in the face of deployment. That is correct, but you have to understand, Walz is a narcissistic psychopath. Okay, who would have no qualm and what he sees here. He sees his redemption moment. Okay. This could be Walz's redemption cycle in his mind, right? A distraction away from the $9 billion minimum, okay, and foreign scams that he willingly participated in, or did nothing to. He aided and abetted it by doing nothing to stop it. Okay, in some regards, witnesses have said that he actively shut down and threatened whistleblowers, okay, who wanted to talk about the fraud that was going on in Minneapolis, right? So yes, Walz is a coward, but a coward has no problem throwing away the lives of other people if it benefits him, all right? And that's what and he's fine with that. He would love, if I can't be governor, then burn this mother down, okay, is Walz's mentality. And his wife is even worse than him. His wife enjoys leaving. His wife is just angry that it's not spring or summer, so she can't leave the windows open to smell burning tires.
Exactly.
Okay, psychotic wife, and his daughter's a train wreck as well.
I look at people like Walz. Walz
the definition of a failed man.
Walz was up to deploy with his unit, and he threw them under the bus. He abandoned them, just like Sergeant Major pointed out. Walz, who was never a command sergeant major, despite his claims, never saw combat, despite having claimed to have done so. He abandoned his troops before they deployed, right? I look at men like that. Y'all, when I deployed, I was not ordered to deploy. My wife was pregnant. We were having our first kid. My commander and first sergeant came to me and said, Lowry, we know you've got your first kid on the way. We know the timing is awful, but we've got to go. We want you to come with us. We're asking you if you'll do it. And I went and told my wife, baby, this is what's going on. My unit's about to get orders for Afghanistan. We're going to go conduct operations for 365 days. And they are asking me if I will voluntarily go with them. And I know this is awful. I know that I'm basically telling you that I'm about to abandon you with the baby to go do Army. And she said, baby, I've got this. You go take care of your soldiers.
Yeah. Same situation for me. Okay. I was literally, it was the scene from the movie where there's the soldier in full kit standing on the tarmac, kissing the newborn baby on the forehead and handing her back to her mother before he got on the plane to go yep. overseas. Okay. Literally straight out of a movie. Yes. I know that. I know yep. those feels, bro. I know those feels.
Yeah. Dude, yep. Mario and I deployed right around the same time, each yep. having just had our first kid right around that time. And yeah, my unit asked me to go. They didn't say you're going, and I had to go and tell my wife, baby, there's nothing I can do about it. I was given the choice, and she made it for me.
Yeah, my only problem was the baby was 2 weeks late. Okay, we're like I'm deploying in 7 days, and I'm just like, we went in to see the doctor, and the doctor's like, all right, yo. He pulls out this like long needle thing. He's like, yo, do you want me to just pop her? I'm like, what? What? Anyway, my ex-wife was like, yes, we need to get this done with.
Yeah, Fee was also very much ready to be done with the whole pregnant thing when she went into labor that first time. God.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're derailing here in real time.
I know we're derailing here. Let me tell you a funny. So there we are in uniform, right? In the hospital, and the doctor comes in. This is at Tripler Army Medical Center. It's this giant eyesore of a Pepto-Bismol pink building. You remember that monstrosity, Mario, right? And you know, we're all in the room together, and the doctor says, you know, hey, this is going to be a big baby. This might be a 10-pound baby. And Fee points at me and makes a comment. Well, you know, that's her daddy right there. And the doctor, who was a major on active duty in uniform, said, well, you're not the most delicate butterfly in the garden, sweetheart. And it was all I could do, man. I was, you want to talk about emotional reactions? I'm in here with my wife, who is in distressed labor, and I know that I'm about to deploy. I'm in uniform. My soldiers are out in the field training right now, and I just had to walk away from them to go and take my wife to the hospital. And I've got this fucking major cracking jokes about my wife's baby weight. That was the moment that I knew I have God's discipline.
Amen.
Sergeant Major says not an eyesore, a monument to military medicine.
Hey, to be fair, we know the jokes. Okay, Crippler Medical Center, right?
Yes.
But I mean, like Tripler did right by me. Okay,
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
so on several occasions.
I can't complain.
But just you know, here, let me throw you guys a little context. For those of you who don't know, this is the building we're talking about.
Yeah. It is.
And there's the parking lot with a bunch of cars in it for context. This thing is monstrous.
Well, it's the largest military medical facility for the Pacific. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why it has everything. It's like Walter Reed in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So, yep.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually. So, where do we go from here, Mario?
Well, what I do when you derail us so severely, but entertaining though, entertaining. I'll give you that.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's a good way to put it, absolutely.
What I do is I rewind in the chat and see where we can pick up. Okay, so
That's a good one.
Insurrection Timmy. Any additional comments on that? Well, yeah, I think he thinks this is the moment where he saved himself. Okay, where he can be the martyr. He resigned. He didn't resign, but he chose not to run for a third term. Okay,
correct.
In his mind, that was a great act of courage and martyrdom on his part. Okay, Walz is very, very proud of himself. Okay, look, if you haven't watched the deep dive that we did on psychopaths, okay, highly recommend you watch it because it explains these archetypes. Okay, these types of characters. Walz is a narcissistic psychopath. Okay,
right.
That doesn't mean he's like running in the streets with bloody axes. Okay, like some kind of deranged juggalo. All right, what it means is that his brain is not right. His brain is focused on him and him alone. Okay. He is the main character he is the main character. Everyone else is just a accessory or an NPC. Okay. For his vision, for his greatness. Right. That is Timmy Walz. Understand that. And he will want to use this for maximum political leverage to make him aggrandize himself as much as possible before he leaves the office. He would rather have held for life. Okay, and if Minneapolis must burn to validate him, then Minneapolis will burn. Okay, that's Tim Walz.
Well, and right. you've got Jacob Frey too, right?
Oh, another every single time.
Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done. And I have a...
You're right.
This is how a woman. He's a woman.
Correct.
Okay? He's a woman disguised as a man. That is emotionally charged language designed to stir up a sense of aggregation or aggrievement, all right, amongst people who are emotionally sensitive, okay, and who don't know the facts. That's all that was. He is rabble rousing. Okay, that is absolute demagoguery, and I'm not surprised.
Correct.
This is the man who shed tears at the golden calf of George Floyd. Literally shed tears at kneeling before a golden casket.
Yeah, putting his hand on the golden casket.
F that guy. F him.
Yeah. And this is the narrative from we could spend another hour just playing clips of elected Democrats saying this ICE agent murdered this woman. It was unnecessary. This is Trump's fault because he's running an illegal operation. It's not an illegal operation. We have border enforcement. We have immigration enforcement, right? And why do we have that? Well, for a lot of reasons, not least of which is you cannot have open borders and unlimited welfare at the same time and survive.
Mm.
You cannot have total demographic replacement and survive. And when I say that, I understand this. When we talk about the replacement stuff, we've pointed out before that, especially during the 2024 election cycle, we were hearing Black, heritage American Blacks complaining about being replaced in their own communities by illegal aliens, by hostile foreign invaders, right? And they're, not unreasonably so. That's a thing that has been happening. But we've got these illegals coming in, setting up shop, conducting these massive fraud operations, which, by the way, are happening right there in Minnesota. And yes, there is a need to remove these people from our country. And it's not just the hostile foreign invaders, the illegal entrants. Understand this. The recent reporting shows us that when we're talking about the Somali migrants in Minnesota, more than 50% of them appear to have been fraudulent. If you forget about the illegals for a minute, we're just talking about the legal, quote, legal migrants for a minute, right? Over half of them are fraudulent entries. And if you'll go back and look at the 2024 cycle as well, there was another piece of narrative where we were dealing with the was it the Haitian, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, and there was this narrative conflict over whether or not the people who were filmed eating cats and dogs, barbecuing them, hunting geese in public parks and stuff, whether or not they were legal immigrants. And of course, the Kamala campaign kept saying, no, these people are lawfully present. They weren't. They were in a very technical sense. What they were is thousands of them had come over illegally. And then the Biden administration had granted them a temporary protected status after the fact so that they could say these are not illegal immigrants. Yeah. When the fact is they were unlawful entrants. That's how they got here to begin with.
You opened up the broader topic of immigration, which I'm not sure we can do justice to in 5 minutes. Okay, what I would say though is for Cade's trying to pierce through this chat here. Yeah, it looks like the police chief of Minneapolis is up to the same tricks that they were doing in 2020 when they were actively encouraging the rioting and basically creating space for them to burn. Okay, so right. it looks like the police chief of Minneapolis would be up to the same thing, and I'm assuming that was that Nilotic black woman who was standing behind Frey with the 4 stars on her collar. I'm guessing that's the police chief. But yeah, yep. in inciting an insurrection according to their own rules. Yes, you are correct, Cade. But like I said, it's January in Minneapolis. Okay, for those of you who have no experience, okay, and like with Minneapolis, Wisconsin, Michigan, okay, New England in January, it's cold. It's unpleasantly cold. Okay, you don't really want to do a lot of rioting, but if you do, you need to start fires. We could keep warm. Uh-oh.
Hey, who knows, man? Yeah. Maybe the George Floyd 2.0 rioters can save the city a fortune on snowplows and salt.
I think Antifa's going to save the day for the protesters by starting one of their patented dumpster fires, okay, to keep the entire surrounding area warm so that people can protest in warmth and security, okay?
Yep.
So, yep. Dumpster.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's all we've got for this morning. Here's hoping, guys. Sergeant Major just said Vernon will bring excitement to the race. That's something we're gonna have to address later. So, yeah, we're gonna put a pin in it there. Thanks for watching this morning, guys. Tomorrow's Firearms Friday. We love you, and I'm gonna send you guys. I'm gonna raid you over to Chad Prather. I know you guys have said I do the Bible the Bible thumpers for the raids, but it really is this simple. The only things live right now that aren't total trash are those. So we're raiding over to Chad Prather. I hope you guys go and tell his audience that they need to check out the Brushfire Mind weekday mornings at 7:30. And we love you, and we will see you tomorrow. Oh,
and remember, when you're raiding someone else's chat, all you have to do is just post an uppercase N and sit back and watch the magic. Okay.
Good luck, guys. We love you. We will see you tomorrow.
Ciao. All right.
50% of the time, it works 100% of the time.